Hey, what's up, comrades? All right, volume 3 of Fairy Tale. Let us begin. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe, comment, and let's get started. So, as we left off, our crew, the most powerful Fairy Tale army in the whole of all existence, they were about to get into a fight with Aragorn and his like homies here. What is it? The Eisenwald Guild. And Aragorn pretty much is like, all right, good luck, you guys. I'll see you later. And he just like takes off. He's gonna go do this broadcast. Urza commands Natsu and Gray to go chase after him, while her and Lucy take care of the rest of these guys. Then we get some comments from a guy named Rayul and then our Kageyama friend, and they're gonna go help out and fight Natsu and Gray. So they take off. Meanwhile, the other two guys that finally get named here, that were part of like the previous interactions with the Urza, are Karaka and Beard, and so they're all like, ooh, we're gonna make out with these chicks, we're gonna rape them and do all this fun stuff. And then Urza pulls out a magic sword, and Lucy's like, wow, magic sword, and they pull out their magic swords, and then Urza just proceeds to beat the holy living shit out of everybody. And then we find out that magic swords are like celestial beings, as they exist in some sort of cross dimension, and that Urza's magic is all about pulling out weapons as fast as humanly possible. And then also she can transform and summon her like mage armor, which when she does, Lucy's like, oh, I'm in love, and all the guys are like, oh, we're in love too, until they get the shit kicked out of them, which they do. And she's known as Fairy Queen Titania Urza. Dun dun dun. At that point, our homie, trying to remember what his fucking name is, Karaka, like runs away, and Urza's like, Lucy, go take care of that guy. And Lucy and Happy are like, all right, and so they run off. And then Urza's like, phew, I used way too much magic, I'm tuckered out. Meanwhile, Natsu and Gray are not teaming up as they should. They immediately split up. And Gray says something about, don't die, okay? And Natsu's like, the fuck? And Gray's like, nothing, get out, I'm leaving. And he kicks his way into like the broadcasting room, and Aragorn's not there. But you know who is there? God, what's the fucking guy's name? The bad guy, one of the bad guys, not Kageyama, the Rayul. So Rayul's there, and he uses some of his like, he's got like a shadow tentacle hand magic or whatever. And then Gray's like, all right, let's do this motherfucking thing. And that leads us into chapter 15, where we start off at the Guildmasters Conference, and we meet a couple of their Guildmasters. Guildmaster for Blue Pegasus, who's like a love guild, and Quattro Cerebrus, who's like another powerful guild. And they're all kind of chit-chatting and just having like old man fun. And then a letter comes from Mira Jane to Makarov, and he's like, oh, look at my, and they're all, because everyone's like, oh, you have so many beautiful women in Fairy Tale and whatever, and she's like, hooray, Urza formed a team with Natsu and Gray, which is the most powerful Fairy Tale guild ever, or team ever, and Lucy went with them, because right before then, and then he passes out, because right before then, someone was teasing him, like, hey, you guys need to calm down, they're going to destroy a whole village. And when he sees that, he's like, oh, they are going to destroy a whole village. Back to Urza, she wanders out of the train station, grabs, just like snags a loudspeaker from one of these like train yard workers, and like, everyone get the fuck out or you're gonna die. And everyone's like, Nani Deska? And then they go, rah! They all run away. And then Urza turns to the train conductor guys, and she's like, you better get the fuck out of here or you're gonna die. And at that point, this giant wind wall pops up. Meanwhile, back to Gray and Rayul, they're fighting. And Gray's just kind of dodging around, and he's trying to get some information about this guy, about their plan. And Rayul mentions that Aragorn's starting a magic wind wall to trap them inside. We then go back to Urza, and she's like, what the fuck is this? The entire station's wrapped in wind. And then Aragorn kind of flies up and is like, hey, Queen of Fairies, and he kicks her real good and knocks her back into the wind because she was outside of it. And he's like, haha, now you're trapped now. I'm going to go peace the fuck out. And she's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then he takes off. And she's like, hey, what do you intend to do? And she's super pissed off, and her hand's all bloody and cut up from going through the wind. Meanwhile, Gray kicks the shit out of Rayul, and they fight, and then he finds out that he kind of puts together that like, hey, Aragorn's headed off to Clover, where the Guildmasters are all fighting, or all not fighting, they're hanging out, and that the real plan is not to use the death whistle here to cause mass murder, it's to kill all the Guildmasters. And at that point, Gray's like, good to know, and he grabs the guy's face and just freezes him, and he's like, fuck you. That takes us into chapter 16. All right. There, Urza starts off, and she's like trying to wake up some of these guys she beat the shit out of and find out what's going on. And Gray runs out, and he's like, Eisenwald's real target is the station at the end of the line. It's Clover. He's trying to get the old men. And Urza's like, yeah, that's what this guy told me. Now we're trying to figure out how to get out of here. And then one of them kind of figures out that Kageyama guy, he's a dispeller. That's how he got the whistle in the first place. And so they're like, oh, we got to go track him down before Natsu beats the shit out of him too much. And they run off. And then the guy Urza was tagging, he is the other named guy. I don't remember his name. He is Beard, or Beard, bird. He's bird. He summons Karaka, so Karaka like goes into things, and he pops out of like a column, and he's like, I don't know if I can stop those guys from killing Kageyama. And the guy's like, no, you've got an even easier job. Meanwhile, Lucy and Happy are wandering around trying to figure out where Karaka is, and then they get into like a little weird spat. And then we go to Natsu. Natsu's just like busting walls looking for Irigor. And Kageyama's like watching him with like a teardrop, being like, he's not going to find him. He's in here. I don't know. Maybe I should leave him alone. And he's like, nah, I want to fight him. So he hops down and he summons like some shadow Ouroboros, Orochi, which is like a Japanese, like Hydra essentially. And he summons him, and then Natsu kicks the shit out of the shadow Orochi like immediately, and then hits this guy super hard and beats the fucking shit out of him. And then he's about to like finish the job, and the guy's like, he's a monster. I don't understand. And Lucy and everybody like hear what's going on, and Natsu's like, aha, gotcha. And the guy's, now I'm gonna go find Irigor. And the guy's like, he's not here. And then Natsu's like, don't do anything else. We need that guy to dispel the wind. And Natsu's like, Nani desu ka? And then Ursa runs out, pulls out one of her swords, and she's like, I'm going to cut your skin off piece by piece. And Natsu's like, oh, she's so vicious, I don't understand. And the guy's about to like do something, but then he gets like dragged into the wall and then comes out with like a sword in his back. And she's like, Kage! And then Kuroka's like in the wall, and he's like, an easy job to kill Kage. And everyone's like, no, 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 damn it. And that goes into chapter 17. And they're like, Kage, hold on, we'll take care of you. And then Kuroka's like, uh-oh. And he like sneaks off, and then Natsu's like, no, you dirty son of a bitch. And he goes and does like a power slam into the wall and like destroys this guy, like knocks him completely out. And Natsu's pissed off because like he's not trying to kill anybody, so he's like, if that guy dies after I fought, I'm gonna be pissed. And they're all screaming and yelling, and Lucy and Happy just kind of like wander up, and they're like, maybe we should stay back here for now. We go to Irigor. Irigor. And he's standing on like a railway station heading to Clover. He's like, all right, I got some of my magic back, so maybe I'll fly over to there and take care of this meeting. And then he's super excited about that. So then we head back, and they're trying to figure out how to get through. Natsu keeps jumping at the wind until Lucy like pulls him back. It's like, stop it, you crazy son of a bitch. And they're trying to like repair Kage so he can dispel the magic, and that's not working very well. And then at some point, Happy's like, wait a second, because Lucy brings up Evolu and all that stuff, and using like the celestial keys, because they're talking about how Natsu used Virgo to like travel through the celestial realm and all that stuff. And then Happy's like, wait a second, I remember, look, here's the key to Virgo. And Lucy's like, hey, I can't just take someone's key, man, that's not right. And then Happy's like, no, she wanted you to take it, she wants you to be the new master. And then Lucy's like, oh, that ugly thing, I don't know about that. And then Happy's like, wait a second, maybe she can dig below the wall. And Lucy's like, oh, you're so great, Happy, I'm so happy, you're the best. And so she summons Virgo, and she's like a super sexy hot maid, and everyone's like, huh? And Natsu's like, you lost weight. And then Virgo apologizes, and then Lucy's like, no, she just lose weight, she's like a totally different person. And so she asks, and Virgo's like, oh, I'm a loyal servant of my master and mistress, I take the form that they wish me to fulfill my work. And so Lucy's got like a beauty complex, obviously, and she's like, stop calling me mistress. And then Virgo looks at her and sees the whip and is like, yes, dominatrix. And she's like, no, don't call me that either. And she's like, princess. And Lucy's like, all right, that sounds good. And so then Virgo makes a tunnel through the ground, and they all take it outside of the wind. And we see that Kageyama is still alive and he's doing okay. And then there's a funny scene where Virgo's very concerned about Lucy's decency, because she's wearing like a mini skirt, and then the wind's blowing it up. And then she's like, watch out for your road. And then Kageyama like calls him out and is like, we've won, there's nothing you can do about it. You don't have enough time. And then Ursa's like, wait a second, where's Natsu? And where's Happy? And we see Irigor flying, and he's getting closer to Clover, and then all of a sudden we hear Natsu be like, this is Happy's top speed, and he flies right into Irigor and double kicks him right in the face. So they both fall to the ground, and then Happy's like, and I'm tapped out. And then Irigor's like, fuck you, and Natsu's like, I'm here to take you down, you're worth this bag of wind. So how does this battle go between Natsu and Irigor? Well, it goes pretty good. We start off, and Ursa is using the rest of her magic to power this cart, the horseless carriage. The first one got destroyed, so they have to steal another one, and they bring Kageyama with them because he needs hospital help. And they're racing and racing and racing. Meanwhile, Natsu and Irigor are fighting and having shonen battle, and wind magic versus fire magic, and flying. And at some point, Irigor gets housed by Natsu, but then he uses like his he blasts him with wind and then does some sort of like wind armor thing, so that Natsu's fire goes out every time he tries to attack him. Or when he starts doing, Natsu's hitting with fire, and then Erigor's just like fired it back, and he's like, aha, you can't defeat me, wind can always blow it away. And then Kageyama's like, oh, he's fucked because there's nothing he can do about this or whatnot, and he starts slashing at Natsu like real good. And it just continues to be excellent shonen anime, or not anime, manga for like a while. And then at some point, Natsu gets knocked over, and Erigor's like, I've defeated you. And then Natsu hops up, and he's like, oh yeah, motherfucker. And then he starts swirling with like fire. And it's like he's using like his dragon fire magic powers, and the fire is becoming so strong that he's absorbing the wind armor from Erigor, which is like some badass shonen shit, man. Like it looks so good. And he's getting super mad, and the madder he gets, the hotter he gets, and the more he gets hot, the more wind he pulls towards him and sends up into the sky. And then somebody, I can't remember who it was, I think it's Happy. Happy is having this whole explanation about like, oh, that's right. When there's really a lot of heat, it creates like a low pressure area, and the wind shoots up over it because it's cooler or hotter or I don't know, some bullshit. I don't understand meteorology. And so Happy starts egging him on by saying like, if only Gray was here, he could win. Natsu, too bad you're too weak to fight him. And Natsu's getting fired up. And then he eventually pulls all the wind armor magic away from Erigor. Then he does like his like Karu Kenkaku fire punch magic thing and just blasts the shit out of this guy and like almost kills him and knocks him completely out. And then Natsu turns to Happy and he's like, what the fuck did you say to me? And then we see the flute has like this like black smog or smoke kind of going into it or whatever, while Happy's like, oh, I don't know, I forgot what I said. At that point, Ursa and crew, like they roll up and they're like, aha, you did it, that's excellent. And Kageyama's like, holy shit, what the fuck? And then everyone's like congratulating each other and talking about how great Natsu is or whatever. And Kageyama grabs the flute and hops in the horseless carriage and flies off. And everyone's like, no, fuck that guy, we saved his life and he's being such an asshole. Over in Clover with all the guild masters, we see Kageyama, he's like breathing real heavy and standing right outside the door or right at the building where everybody's at. And then all of a sudden Makarov like pokes him in the cheek and he's like, aha, what's up, young man? And then the guy's like, oh, hey. And then Makarov's like, you should be in a hospital. And he's like, okay, I'll go to a hospital. First, I'm going to play you a song. And then Makarov's like, I don't know about that. All right, play one song. And then Kageyama starts having all these thoughts about his guild and about the Black Guild and about the things that Lucy and Gray and Ursa and Natsu said about their guild and the difference between their guilds and what it means. And then Ursa, Lucy, Natsu, and Gray show up and they're about to rush over to help Makarov. But then the guy who's the guild master of the Blue Fairy Guild, he's like, shh, my cuties, you stay here. And ooh, you're so cute and handsome. And they're just watching. And then Ursa's like, no, I must do something. And then the other guild master, I forget his name, we got introduced to a couple issues back. He stops her as well and it's like, and he's like, no, this is gonna be quite interesting. And then Makarov's like, all right, go ahead, play my song. What are you waiting for? And then Kageyama's like, he's about to play it and he's like fighting with himself whether he should do it or not. And then Makarov says, nothing will change. Weak people always be weak, but everything that is weak is not evil. Humans basically start out weak, and that's why we have friends. And then that's like enough for Kageyama to like reevaluate his whole like life. And all the guild masters inside are like watching this go on and everyone's watching, and then Makarov essentially is like, you don't need that flute, you know. And then Kageyama like tosses him on the ground. He's like, I've lost. And then everyone's like, master, yay. And then Makarov's like, oh no, you guys are here, you're gonna destroy the whole town, this is awful. And then the flute starts talking, and it's like, oh, I can't stand this anymore. I wish death upon all of you. And this giant, crazy-looking, like, tree monster smoke thing pops out, and everyone's like, wah! Oh no, lullaby, what are we going to do? Everyone looks stunned. People are freaking out. Some of the masters are like, the fuck is that? And then the monster yells, I'm hungry, I can't stand it, I'm gonna eat your souls. And then Natsu's like, hey Gray, are souls good? And so Gray's like, what the fuck would I know that? And then Lucy's kind of freaking out, and someone mentions, oh, it's Zeref magic. Zeref's whole thing was living magic. And it's like, who's Zeref? Zeref's a black wizard. He lived hundreds of years ago. He's the most evil wizard in the history of magic. Oh no. And this is one of his spells, so he's gonna go eat the souls. And then Ursa, Natsu, and Gray all leap into battle. Ursa transforms, starts slashing at it. Natsu does like a giant fire kick, and these guild masters are like, is that guy even a wizard? And then Lullaby starts fighting back and sends this crazy blast, and Gray makes this ice shield immediately, and we find out that he's not just an ice wizard, he's a maker wizard who specializes in ice magic, and that he's really fast. And then all the guildmasters are very shocked and excited, and Makarov has like an evil grin on his face. And then Happy lets Lucy know that there's maker magic, but there's also magic that steals powers away. And she's like, at that point, Gray shoots like ice lances. Natsu's still fighting and biting, and then Ursa transforms into her black winged armor, and their powers combine. There's a big shonen battle, it's less shonen because the monster has no chance. He just gets completely demolished, and then he crashes into the place where the guild masters were, destroying it completely. And everyone's like, "Yay, we did it! It's unbelievable!" And everyone's like, and then Lucy's like, "This is the Fairy Tail's most powerful team." We get this awesome shot of Gray, Natsu, and Ursa looking fucking fantastic. And then Makarov's like, "Yay!" And everyone's super excited for a moment until someone's like, "Oh, we completely destroyed the place we were just meeting at." And then Makarov starts to sneak off. And at that point, someone calls the police, and Natsu's like, "I'll go take care of him." And one of the guildmasters is like, "No, you're one of them." And then Fairy Tail scurries back off to Fairy Tail. We then head over to the council, like the head council of all the councils, with our homie Sigrin again and the old men, and they're complaining about Fairy Tail, and Sigrin's like, "Well, if it wasn't for him, Lullaby, Xerath's magic would have been released, so you guys really should be grateful," and a little more positive. And like, "Oh, you young upstarts, brr, 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 brr." The whole event made national news, and we get Lucy doing her usual thing between arcs, just talking about how she's super happy, and we get some nice shots of her in like a bra and then getting dressed and stuff. Excellent. So good. We find out that the Eisenwald Guild, they were all arrested except Aragorn, who no one could find, and then everyone came back, and Lucy's writing this letter to her mom, and she says, "Please don't let Dad know. Please keep all this secret from Dad." And then she's like, "Oh, this place is great," as she's stretching. And then behind her, she hears like, "Man, 70,000 jewels for this place is cheap." And it's Gray, and he's naked. But again, when Gray's naked, he's just wearing like, it's not even boxers, he's wearing like swim trunks. And she's like, "Breaking and entering," and she kicks him, and he's like, "Hey, I came here because I bet you forgot." And she's like, "Forgot what?" And he's like, "See?" And what she forgot was that after the mission, Ursa was going to fight Natsu. And so Lucy rolls in, and she's like, "Wow, this is so cool." And then there's like funny discussion about like the most powerful team. And then Gray's like, "Who told you it's the most powerful team? That's a dumb thing to say." And then Mary Jane's like crying because it was Mary Jane who said it. And then I forget this guy's name. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, the big monster guy, the man, everything's a man. He's like, "That's not the most powerful guild. They're like, Natsu and Gray are not the most powerful wizards. Like, Ursa's the most powerful female wizard in the guild, but there's Laxus and Mystogen, and they're way more powerful than either of those guys. And then I'm more powerful too. Duh, duh, duh." And then there's like betting about what's going to happen, and Gray's like, "Oh, I bet I'm completely betting that Ursa destroys Natsu." And then Ursa transforms into her, what do they call it? The Fire Empress armor. And Happy's standing there with like a resigned look on his face, and he's like, "I would like to change my bet to Ursa from Natsu." And Natsu's like, or Lucy's like, "Betrayer!" But Natsu is super fired up because he wants Ursa to go full blast. And so they go full blast. And we get nice little fun shots of them fighting and swinging and fire magic and punching and kicking and blasting and all this good stuff. And everyone's like, "Wow, this is so incredible." Then all of a sudden we get like a clap, clap. And it's like, "That's far enough." And everyone stops. "Do not move from your spot." And it's an envoy from the council, and he's like a frogman, and everyone's like, "Oh, messenger, messenger, messenger." And Lucy's like, "Does no one realize he's a frog?" And then the guy is like, "During the occasion of the Eisenwald terror case, a suspect in 11 counts of property damage, I have come to arrest Ursa Scarlet." And she's like, "Ruh-roh." And Natsu's all pissed off. And then we get our second little Happy story. And Happy's in the woods with Lucy and Natsu, and they're looking for a mushroom that's going to, it's like a diet, like a weight loss mushroom. And Happy's making fun of Natsu because every time he comes out, he eats the laughing bamboo mushroom, and Natsu eats a different mushroom and then grows a mushroom on his head, and Happy's sad. And then Lucy's like, "Oh, here, I think I found it. This looks just like the picture." And then someone, I think Natsu, is like, "Hey, we got to be careful. We don't want to like besmirch Fairy Tail's reputation. There's a lot of mushrooms that can look like that, so let's double check." And then someone's like, "Lucy, you eat it." And she's like, "I'm not eating no crazy shit." And then Happy's like, "I'll do it." And so he eats it, and he looks like he's in a lot of pain. And she's like, "It's poisonous, spit it out." And she's like, "Yeah." And then he grows a mushroom in his head, and then he runs away crying because he doesn't like having the same joke that was played on Natsu played on him by the author, obviously. And then Lucy turns around and sees that Natsu has like a whole bunch of mushrooms on his head. And he's like, "What?" And then Happy's even sadder. Anyway, that's volume 3 of Fairy Tail. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.